Let's talk about the anxious preoccupied attachment style as it relates to sex. Sex is a microcosm of the rest of our lives. It highlights our personality patterns. Our attachment style, therefore, doesn't just stay out of the bedroom door, but comes right in between our sheets. Excuse that pun, it wasn't intended. Therefore, research has shown that securely attached people have a higher satisfaction in the bedroom than their insecure attached counterparts. So this is a great inspiration to heal your attachment style. So what does this mean for the anxious preoccupied attachment style? Preoccupied, that word didn't come out properly. Anxious preoccupied attachment styles will find that their abandonment core wound doesn't just stay out the bedroom. Unfortunately, it follows them around and comes into every single area of their lives, which means that they will use sex as a way to get reassurance from their partner that their relationship is going well. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is so good to get physical touch, emotional connection, everything that sex offers, satisfaction, pleasure. It's so good for us. However, the tricky part here is that the anxious preoccupied individuals tend to have a higher libido than the dismissive avoidant attachment style and even the securely attached individuals. And this might be because they use sex as a way to get that emotional connection and reassurance, and their love language a lot of the time can be touch, or it can be like one of the top love languages for them. Therefore, they look to that to validate them. So if my partner, as an anxious preoccupied, if my partner doesn't have a high enough sex drive in my eyes, I will then act from that wound of abandonment and my core wounds of I'm not good enough, I am disliked, I'm rejected, and that will then come up to the surface, and I will take it personally when my partner might not want to make love to me as frequently, as often as I would like it, or for how long I would like it, or as intimately as I would like it to be. And it's nothing personal. And this might cause tension in the relationship, and it might cause the anxious preoccupied individual to have a low self-esteem, which might make them, like work out more or put more pressure on themselves to perform better. This leads me to the next point, where the anxious preoccupied individual might not always show up for their needs. So they are generally not great at discussing their needs in a way that their partner can hear, right? So a lot of the time they already anticipate that the partner is not going to give them their need because that's what they've experienced historically. So they might criticize their partner in other areas of life. And when they come to the bedroom, they also might use negative language of like, no, I don't like that. Don't do that. Instead, going the opposite and saying encouraging words. You know what, this feels really good. Can we do more of that? Can we explore this? Or even if they do want more sex than their partner, maybe encouraging or inviting their partner, of course, not in controlling ways, but just discussing it instead of saying, we don't have sex enough, you don't want me, you don't love me, you don't find me attractive. Instead of using that type of language, which already assumes their partner doesn't want them, meanwhile, they just really are different. Maybe they're on a different gear in their libido. Maybe the partner has experienced some sexual trauma. Maybe they have stress at work, right? And it's got nothing to do with the anxious, preoccupied individual. And that type of language will then cause friction and cause more separation in the bedroom instead of using language that is inviting and saying like, oh, you know what, I really love it when we make love. I really, especially when you're dealing with this dismissive partner, they need a lot of, I wouldn't say reassurance, but they need a lot of encouragement. They need a lot of words of gratitude and validation to make them believe that they are good at this. Because if you watch the other video that I've made for the dismissive, avoidant, and sex, you will know that the dismissive avoidance core wounds of inadequacy also creep into the bedroom. So if the anxious preoccupied individual knows that and says that, oh, okay, maybe I'm adding to the issue by criticizing my partner more when we don't have sex and being quite negative about it, if I just shift my lingo for a long enough period of time, right? It doesn't help if you just do it once and it doesn't work. You have to build up trust with your partner that this is going to keep happening, that you're going to keep being encouraging and loving and tender towards them instead of being critical, to create a sense of safety outside of the bedroom, to then enjoy what happens in between the sheets. Safety is huge. People underestimate safety in the bedroom. They think safety takes out the fizz out of the Coca-Cola. It doesn't at all. This is why securely attached individuals have a much more satisfying sex life, because they feel safe within themselves. They trust their partner. They trust themselves to be able to communicate their needs, to communicate their boundaries, and to also listen to their partner and to work out things that work for both of them. And these are extremely powerful things that we can do in any attachment style. We can learn from that. Okay, so as the anxious preoccupied learns to communicate their needs in a positive way, that their partner feels like they are encouraged and invited into the bedroom or whatever is happening in that moment, rather than being criticized or pushed away, that is going to hugely change how the experience goes. So work on creating that type of safety with your partner as an anxious preoccupied by verbalizing your needs in a kind way. And also make sure that you stand up for your needs, what you want, but in a kind way. Set your boundaries. Sometimes the anxious preoccupied individuals might do things or have sex with their partner when the partner wants, and not when they really feel like it, because they are afraid of displeasing their partner, of upsetting them, of being rejected, and then they would have to wait for a long period of time. In their mind, they think I'm going to wait for a very long period of time before my partner will make any advances on me. And they don't want that. So they would rather agree to sex when they don't feel like it, just to get that emotional connection and closeness and to please their partner, instead of listening to their body. And listening to their own boundaries is extremely important for overall satisfaction in sex, and feeling like this is something that is for you and it is empowering and it's connective. Remember, we cannot actually have emotional intimacy if we are not showing up fully. Showing up fully means in this moment I am discussing what I feel, what I want, and what I don't want. Those are my boundaries. That's how we can connect emotionally. When we decide that we don't speak about that just to please our partner, like usually the anxious preoccupied individuals do, that is not true connection. So you will do the act of sex, but you will still feel like I wasn't there, like I wasn't fully there. Okay, and then you will not feel the satisfaction of that. You will not get the reassurance that you're actually looking for through that act. It will not be that validating experience you want and that connective experience you want, because you were not fully there for yourself and for your partner as well. You didn't let yourself be seen and known. And this is a very important thing that the anxious preoccupied individuals can do, not only in the bedroom, but overall in their lives, to be known by speaking about their needs and their boundaries in a positive way. Let's see, what is it that I also wanted to share with you. So I've discussed the research. No strings attached. Not a great idea for the anxious preoccupied individuals. Research shows that their emotional health really suffers when they go through these relationships, because their abandonment core wound is triggered in those no strings attached or one night stand relationships. They often will put themselves in situationships and persevere in that, thinking that their partner is going to change. And often the partner doesn't change, and it never goes past that situationship stage, and then it gets reaffirmed that in fact they are rejected, that they are not good enough. And this is another way where they dishonor themselves, abandon themselves in relationship to sex, is that they agree to take kind of like the scraps, I'm going to call them, okay, or the crumbs that somebody is willing to give. And sometimes, you know, it can make you feel really, really used when you put yourself in those situations. So if you're the anxious, preoccupied person, just notice, are you settling for a situationship because you think that you cannot get a long-term relationship? I promise you, those situationships, 99% of the time, don't go anywhere. Those partners do not shift. If they are not in it for a long-term relationship, if they tell you from the start they don't want a relationship, this is all that it is, it's just something physical, don't stick around and think that this is going to change. You are just setting up yourself to deepen those wounds that are already there. Okay, believe that you can find a partner that is going to be all in it for you and with you. Those people do exist. Okay, so we also mentioned that the anxious, preoccupied partner uses sex as reassurance. They take it personally when the other partner might not want sex, okay, and that requires healing of their self-confidence and not taking things personally. This could be a daily personal practice to say, you know what, other people have their emotions because of them, not because of me. Right? And try to practice that. You can even listen to the 4 agreements. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. But all of those agreements, it's a very short thing to listen to, but they're really powerful to help you not to take your partner so personally. And maybe in that space where you're not taking them personally and then criticizing them for not wanting sex with you because you feel rejected, it can open up a space of conversation where you're like, oh, okay, what's happening for you? Are you pressured at work, or what's going on? Do you enjoy our sex life? Not with this like panic, right? Just especially if you're with a dismissive avoidant, they're not going to do well where they are like questioned, but just like a chilled conversation in the moment, or maybe if the moment doesn't feel right, maybe then discuss it some other time. Being able to discuss sex outside of the bedroom is going to hugely increase your satisfaction in the bedroom. Having light-hearted, fun conversations about like, hey, I really like that. What do you really like? What are your fantasies? What are your fantasies? What do you really love that I do in the bedroom? Or telling your partner what you like about them. And when you know I highly recommend watching the dismissive avoidant part, or the video in the series, if you have the avoidant partner as well, because that type of acknowledgement and gratitude and telling your partner how much you like certain things will help them to bypass their inadequacy wound, and will create a safe space in your relationship, which can then open both of you up to a deeper emotional connection and exploration. Okay, and then I've mentioned the needs and the boundaries as well. So that's where I'm going to leave you, friends. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions or comments, please leave them down below. I really enjoy receiving them, and I'm making these videos because of your requests. So thank you for being here, and I will see you soon.